blessed love and peace. What up? All thanks and praise. All thanks and praise. All thanks and praise. All thanks and praise. Burning Spear. Rastafari, I, and all thanks and praise. Another day. Said it yesterday. Heard a song about it. Like to hear it. Here it go. Technically not a song per se, but still. Just wake up. Wait, wow. How about let's get it right? Waking up in the morning. Gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kind of odd. O'Shea Jackson, we did that before, yesterday. All right. So again, hangover. Yo, junk food hangover, to be honest. Ain't did the prayer meditation today. Extenuating circumstances, no excuses. It's all my doing. But late. Just caffeine, to be honest. Caffeine. And then heartbeats, is shared in the joint yesterday. When the adrenaline is going, yo, you stay up. And as calm as I may sound during that time, yo, serious. Well, before we get into all that, there's other things to share. Junk food, and also recognizing serious, understand. Me eating junk food, like the most accessible, processed, corner store type thing that's available to everybody else. It's entering the cipher of the kinfolk who share that experience, but it's also consuming those elements of the kinfolk who are also consuming those elements. And so in consuming it, it's manifesting around oneself as well. When we eat healthy, healthiness is around us. When we eat junk abounds around us. And that's not calling any being junk. It's calling the circumstances and conditions and further junk. And the big thing for consideration at this moment is to recognize that there is a war on health. Literally, no cap. There is a war, a global war on health and well-being. Oh, I got the bees buzzing. What's happening? There's a bee hive nearby. See the honeycomb hideout. There is a war, a global war on health, and just recognize that against the four components of health: body, mind, heart, and spirit. You know that already, but let's talk about that, because to be healthy and well, we need all those four things working proficiently, and recognizing that it's not just happenstance that things. And we're not talking about conspiracy. It's just the manifestation of greed, hatred, and delusion, becoming increasingly systemic, increasingly technologically equipped, and strengthened and empowered, to become further and further unhealthy, to be further and further greedy, hateful, and delusional. Eee, that ubiquitous third joint, delusion. So, but just simply, very, very simply, there's a war on health. When water falls from the ground, we don't have rice cooking, which is the modus operandi in recent months, to do one of these joints whilst the rice is cooking. Ain't got no rice cooking, but we got some green. We got some green cooking, talking about health, talking about junk food hangover. Medicine. How about that medicine that's been sitting and waiting, saying, yo, Peter, we're right here. Just fix us. Put it together. Put it in the pot. We need some songs about greens. Serious. Talk about love and everything else like that. Love Jones. We need some green songs. So, from like the hood, from the streets. We need some streets talking about greens. Anyways. And it's not about a whole batch of collard greens, peace and blessings. It's a matter of healthy medicinal greens, because even that phrase, even just talking about getting funky on the mic like an old batch of collard greens, even that reference, it's directly talking about how greens get stank, and collard greens get the most stank. It's mustard greens, to our experience, it gets the most stank. Even turnip greens get further stank than collard greens. But even then, even just talking about how stank greens get when they sat, and they start to ferment and whatever, to know that, you know what greens are. You're talking about that culture, so that's what like gives it that rootedness and that endurance, is because you're talking not just about the experience of that stank, but you're talking about that experience of when it's not stank, and because you come from that culture of eating greens, and you don't say nothing else. That's it. You just put collard greens on blast. You put it on the airwaves, and that's healing right there, because you hitting the cipher that everybody else is resonant with. So, anyways, that's the power of greens. That's the medicine. So we got a batch on the stove, and it's very simple, very very basic washing. Fruit flies on it because one of the bags is open during the evening, or strategic, so that it doesn't wilt as quickly. In putting it in the enclosed, we call it the enclosed cabinet, aka the unplugged refrigerator, which is very beneficial in terms of keeping critters out or whatever else. But at the same time, it's compact, it's airtight. The moisture and everything, so things do not last. Rice does not last. Cooked rice does not last long. Greens do not last long in that situation. So we left it open because we was doing the junk food thing, and being that's our drug thing situation, to be honest. On occasion, that's just where our coping mechanism, whatever. That's a whole nother topic. I guess it's the same topic actually, but that's a whole nother part of the topic. Anyways, we left it open, so when waking up, here come the fruit flies. Now the thing about cleaning greens is that there's different protocols. We generally abide by the kashrut protocols of washing, which is fastidious. Washing each leaf by hand. Anytime seeing a dead insect, removing that portion of the leaf and discarding it. I'll say throw it away, but discarding it. And then continuing to wash the entire leaf. So much of the process of washing greens isn't about washing away the dirt or whatever, at least the kashrut methodology. It's not about washing away the dirt. I mean, that's appropriate. But the main thing is like removing the experience of death, the insects that have the caterpillars. It's bugs. Bugs know the medicines of greens. So it's each leaf looking in the folds. Mustard greens is tenacious, going through all those little folds. Come on, man. Washing all them greens, it's a mental thing. That's why it didn't get done last night, because by the end of the day, long day working, toiling and striving, not trying to do all that after dark. So that's part of the challenges of bachelor life, and why there's that perfect balance of husband and wife to share the sacred duties of the garden together. All thanks and praise. Do I got energy today? I guess I slept in. It's noon now. How about that? We just waking up at noon. Gotta thank God. That's how it begins, kind of, sort of. Letting this shirt dry so it ain't as funky as it wanna be. And continuing on. So, the greens today we have is a very, very seasonal selection. Inspired by the season, conjured by the season, and otherwise. The autumn season that we're in right now, the green that we feature for today is a very select, unique, and vibrant color of yellow. Because we got it on a couple of days ago. It's been sat waiting. It hasn't turned yet. It's just the decoloration, but it's very vibrant green, very seasonal in this early autumn moment. So, but primarily they're green. They're still green. They're okay. But yeah, did a basic washing job. Didn't do the kashrut fully as we're taught methodology, but basically washed it on. And again, main thing. So the fruit flies, as long as they live in, just wipe it away. That's all. So we work on the presumption with the green. One part of the greens that we're working with, that like all the fruit flies that we see are actually alive. So that's no problem. Shake it off. Let the fruit flies go, and then run that water for any latent and belligerent ones. Get a little bit of a bath there, and then we roll. So again, it's not the full kashrut in terms of discerning if any are actually passed away, and then to remove the portion of the leaf upon which the one that sat, presuming no caterpillars. To be honest, actually, the way the greens are prepared here, it's actually rather effective, because this is like the least occasion we've ever seen insects. Could be ethnic. I'll be ethnic specific. This is coming from the Asian market, and at this particular Asian market, the methodology of packaging and distributing the greens, they're all pre-sealed in a plastic bag. rather than just being open in the fresh produce section. So already there's a lot of avoidance of insects having access to the greens, to which, I mean, obviously it uses plastic, which is challenging, but it's actually seemingly rather effective in keeping the insects out, because we hardly ever see insects any in any of the greens. Now, that's not to say that the greens that any of the insects haven't been like washed away or whatever before putting in the green in the plastic, and we're less versed about those type of circumstances. It's not a kashrut grocers, but we're less concerned about that. If cats want to be fastidious about that, we say let go of citizenship first, and then let's talk about contamination and all these other type of nuances. So, meanwhile, hardly ever any insects on the greens coming from the Asian market. So because of that, when we get it, even when it's turned and whatever else, like turning yellow after sitting for a number of days in the plastic, it does lend itself increasingly to wilting, and that moisture affecting that process of fermentation. We don't want no kimchi. Kimchi, they got kimchi, mild kimchi, tasty kimchi, like decently priced kimchi. I think it was like $2 something for a pound, about half a how they measure that? Half a gram? No, half a kilo, something like that. Comparatively decent. They got cabbage greens and turnip cabbage kimchi, as well as radish kimchi. Haven't had the radish kimchi, and actually the radish kimchi might have been $2 something, and then the regular kimchi was $4 something. That might have been what it was. Anyways, decent, authentic, homemade. It says so. That's what we got going on. I'm working off junk food right now, but maybe it's even the thought and the proximity of the greens. It's like all right. So, anyways, that's what we got going on. The birds seem to be further messing with me today because I ain't had rice in a while, but we put out some bread, so they're like, all right, okay. It's been a while since we had this joint. Oh, look at that. It's advertising. Organic, vegan, even kashrut. And that flavor. Come on. I'm Scandinavian. Did you not know? We eat cereal, muesli, granola, things like this on the regular. Some would even do it with Greek yogurt. How about that? It's the monarchical relations. Anyways, King Christian the Ninth. It is the father. That is. So continuing on, that's the scene. That's the circumstances at this moment. Again, war on health. So, so just again, recognizing the fact you can't drink the water. The rain. It's raining. It's raining the past few days. Rain is fresh water. It's much further valuable than gold. And when it hits the ground, whoosh, immediately sullied with pollution, toxins, poisons, rendered untouchable. Actually, that's warfare. Tampering with people's water supply, that's warfare. That's warfare against physical well-being. Immediately, it's actually warfare against each one of those elements: body, mind, heart, and spirit, when you're talking about water and the elements. But that's one thing. But also just preventing people from having direct access to healthy food. That's war on health. Illegal to go to parks and gather acorns and buckeyes and walnuts. Illegal to pick berries. It's poison. Most berries near city streets, and additionally absorb the pollution, the oil, the runoff from the exhaust, and that gets absorbed into the ground, absorbed into the roots, and absorbed into the fruits, to the point where the belly gets gassy. I'm speaking from experience of eating the local, is it boysenberries? Blueberries, not blueberries, but one of them berries, a year ago or so. So that's war on health. When poisoning food supply, that's warfare against around the world and domestically, intra warfare, health. That's it's no cap, it's no hyperbole, it's no joke. It's probably one of the most serious things. It's difficult to think of anything further serious, and that's just the body. We could talk about the war on mental health, in terms of the stress, in terms of, advertising and commercials and getting in people's heads subliminal messaging. That's nothing. That's no conspiracy theory. That's facts. Trying to influence behavior, whether it's to buy something or to do something, or whether it's just to be fearful and thus presumed as further malleable and subjected or subject to subjugation. That's warfare on mental health and well-being, mental well-being, hyper diagnoses of behavior and symptoms and this and the other, and then popping pills, locking people, and otherwise. That's warfare on mental health, mental well-being. And we can talk about warfare on the heart, the experience of relationship, traditional family, marriage, healthy relationship between man and woman, healthy sexual interaction between man and woman, and additionally, the promiscuity, the seduction, the sexual exploitation, the trafficking, outright trafficking. That's warfare on physical, mental, as well as the heart. Just people's relationship, hyper isolation, individualism. All this pimp talk about empowerment and everything is pimp talk to isolate people from each other and to be further dependent upon the mechanisms of imperialism, employment, savings, rent, mortgage, all these relationships with institutions and reliance upon institutions, because they don't seem to gonna sell us out or betray us or try to play us to get a better offer, as we've experienced with loved ones in our lives. So meanwhile, when we get those jilts and betrayals and everything else like that, it becomes easier just to trust institutions, even when institutions are on some worse bullshit. At least it's not personal, and we'll have to do our best along those ways. And even then, at least it's not one person. If it's anything, it's it's a whole gang of persons, so that helps our ego a little bit better. No better. No apologies. Still not accepting apologies from citizens. It's like being a member of the corporation. It's the micro apology amidst the macro collusion. You can apologize for whatever you've done yourself at that moment, but you're still involved and committed and aligned with and contributing to the macro transgressions. And so to apologize for whatever you've done at that moment, for whatever it is, small or large, while still being part of the macro atrocities, it's like, no. I'm not going to cuss. Ooh, a little bit better today. I'm not going to cuss. Just no acceptance, no haps. And we communicate that proactively, so kinfolk can know that, and proceed accordingly. If they have to make adjustments about what they do or whatever, that's fine. But to know, the apologies are not accepted for small or large, nothing. And when we say, it's very simple. Just say no, nope. That's it. No mad, not anger. Don't have to argue about it. Don't have to talk about it. Just nope, not accepted. You don't have to say not accepted. Just nope. That's it. Now, if people want to get angry, what? You said no? You want to argue about that? I have to accept your apology just because you said it? Nope. So that's just another side note. So war and health, to recognize that, and then particularly for the interest of well-being, finding solutions, working solutions. Essentially, it's just distancing away from the harmful activities. So, as I'm sorting out the money situation, and again, this is not money. This is issued by a private agency Some people might accept it like money, but it's not money. Just to be technical and actual, can't purchase a lot of things. Can't purchase anything outside the United States. How about that? Going online and making purchases, not accepted. Trying to get silver, gold with this, generally not accepted. So this is not legal tender. It is issued by banks, and additionally, this one might be or technically registered as a bank or financial institution. These days, like anybody's doing anything. Visa is not a government agency. Visa is technically not even a bank, if I'm aware, or if I'm accurate about that. It is a service provider that works with financial institutions. Visa might have established its own entity as a financial institution per se. I mean, it's all about definitions and registrations or whatever else. It's a member of FDIC. So whatever. Does it say not legal tender? It probably doesn't say that because that would not be very marketable. It does say non-reloadable. No cash or ATM access. It doesn't even say limited to purchases in the U.S., but that's what it... Oh, yes, it does. So it's very domesticated. You cannot travel on this joint. Presumably, or you could travel and purchase things online that are from the United States or based in the United States. And that's facts. When endeavoring to purchase things, food, and other joints online from companies that are based outside the United States, transaction not accepted. The balance is there. We just got this joint. Transaction not accepted. Make calls. Oh yeah, nah. You want to call your financial institution to talk about that. It's not our side. It's yours. Oh, okay. It's that embargo situation. So. It's not money, and that's not like a cute kind of thing. That's a very fastidious, disciplined, nuanced actuality. We can still utilize money, but again, we try to keep it as distant as possible. And anyways, that's not the joint for today. What else we share at this moment? We here again still, There was not serious yesterday. It might not seem that deep or whatever, but it was 10 squad cars aligned along. To be accurate, I probably counted 9, but then it was beyond visible. Like the whole visibility of the street was squad cars, one by one lining up. So the ones that I saw, maybe 8 or 9. So rounded up to 10. By the time I started recording, a few had already left. And that was the scene. And again, it would look like it was based on the other building, but there's a lot of different tactics that are utilized, and so particularly in the history of what's been done before, in terms of being scooped up or whatever. And I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, I think I basically articulated the gist of it yesterday, all the different elements, the different sides of it. So don't need to go back into that. So going back to the notion about, going back to the notion of war on health. So I talked about war on body, war on mind, war on heart. And then obviously war in spirit, just like religiosity, spirituality, just talking about God and everything. How much of this has been removed from the common vernacular, the common knowledge. There's a very strong secular vitriol towards any type of religiosity. Even just talking about God, I can't talk about God here, And there's a strong reason for that. There's been a lot of bullshit that people have done. We're starting to get into the cuss again. Some people have couscous, some people have cuss. That's kind of funny. So there's reasons why people don't like religion and don't want to talk about this and the other, but at the same time, there's a necessity, because even in the ancient paganism or whatever that people want to utilize to describe indigenous relationship with nature, we all have a ready knowledge of the otherworldly, the heavens, the dreaming, spirits, spirit beings, angels, demons, and additionally, we all come from a very blatant, intentional, candid acknowledgement and reconciliation and some type of literacy and how to deal with that phenomena. But in the realm of science, it's like, it doesn't exist. That's craziness. You're hearing voices. You're talking about angels and demons. What? That's crazy. Crazy, crazy. That's what people say. Crazy. Dismissive and intentional ignorance. So, and so in that process, in that pervasive macro culture of denying the heavenly, the otherworldly, people become less literate in how to become functional in relationship with the otherworldly. And that is a war on the spirit. To degrade, to devalue, to discourage people from having a literacy about relationship with God, prayer, meditation, even just like the vocabulary and the concepts, to be literate about what traditional practices are. And additionally, that is warfare on the spirit, to discourage people from being knowledgeable about people's own heritage, and further, that's a warfare on the spirit. So there's a pervasive global warfare on health well-being. Governments are obstructing healthy well-being. Double up healthy well-being through food supply, and again, it's a systemic thing, and it's not necessarily outright and initially an intentional thing, but it becomes that way because it becomes further and further easy to do things that are unhealthy. And then when it's easy to do things, then organizations entrench themselves in those mechanics in doing that. Food distribution, agriculture, GMOs, mass production of agriculture, food, clothing, and otherwise. And then when organizations become entrenched in those methodologies of factory, agriculture, and additionally, then those entities become further influential, and then those further entities become further bent on self-preservation and continuing to optimize and competing against each other. So when anybody wants to do something that is healthy and not just buy whatever is produced from those unhealthy poison processes, then voila, impoverishment, vilification, ostracization, stigmatization, assassination, and otherwise. That's warfare on health. It's not a warfare against individuals or leaders or rebellions or revolutionaries. It's a warfare on health itself. Government is doing further harm than benefit. And that's fine, because that eventually is undone. It doesn't take anybody to overthrow or whatever else. It's just a matter of like keeping a distance. It's not hate. It's not wishing anything. It's just understanding the nature of things. The way nature of the universe works, the way of God works, as is evidenced through the studies of the spiritual teachings and traditional teachings. So, of the science of the spirit, the science of just the world and history. So again, it's not hate. It's not lambasting the government. It's not lambasting banks. It's not lambasting cartels or conspiracy joints or Illuminatis or kinfolk in crevices or anything else like that. It's just keeping a distance as much as possible. when cats is like, again, going back to the old school teachings that we learned as the youngsters where I'm from. Like, yo, when kinfolk are acting ignorant and like you feel things about to pop off at the night spot or whatever else, yo, get the fuck out. Don't stay there. You at the club and cats is talking about like going to their trunk. Get the fuck out. You don't stay around and see what happens. Ooh, I want to see what happens. No, get the fuck out. Don't even be there to begin what you're doing there anyways. But definitely, like, get the fuck out. And that's what's going on in civilization. That's been going on for a while, for generations at this point, since World War II, with technology and rampant migrations and further depersonalization from technologicalization. It's getting to this point, and I don't like to be hype people or hype whatever propaganda, whatever, but yo, distancing. And it doesn't have to be, everybody out, but just be like, okay, even quietly, like, cause there's different scenes. Like if you're standing out, the club's closed, but everybody's hanging out. It's warm at night, summer night or whatever. It's Saturday, let's say, and people just ain't got no place to go. Ain't nobody going into church the next day. So it's bumping. Everybody's still feeling that beat and everything. People ain't trying to go no place too soon. and then cats start to get antagonistic or whatever, that's one thing. Yo, where's the car? You got the keys? Yeah, let's go. Let's go. No, come on, let's just go. Everybody here? Yeah, all right, let's go. Boom, that's it. Sometimes it's run into the car. Probably done that a few occasions. Not actually, I'm very sure, not just run to the car, but yo, in the car, and then skirt out. With the top down in the back seat, like, yo, can't you drive faster? Why are you going so slow? Serious, but can't do it because, yo, we were with the old head, so you can't be all scared, and you got the worst seat because you the young buck. So it was just sad, but they're like, yo, if there's any bullet that comes, it's probably most likely gonna be me that stops it. Can't you drive faster? Can't say nothing, but can't you drive faster? Anyways, that's not actually not, it is what it is. So that's one situation. There are other situations of being in similar circumstances where it's not a matter of just being out and out, just bounce. You got a smooth way out. Like if you in a room and it's like everybody knows each other, everybody knows where everybody stays, and you feel it, like the tension's getting up there. You know Cass is holding, and at any point it can be any way, any direction, any angle. And if you leave at that moment, you look suspect. Ooh, diplomacy at that point. And, I mean, you try to do it as like upfront and honest as possible, but at the same time, like you might get out of that situation, but then you're gonna have to deal with the aftermath the next day, next week, next month, next year, whenever. So it's a matter of sometimes we got to be careful. Sometimes we got to be slow. And you'd be like, well, you know what, y'all? Okay, I had my fill today. I gotta wake up in the morning. I'm gonna call it a day for now. However it is, when we're talking about civilization at this moment, just recognize the entrenchments that are attaching people to these unhealthy methodologies, and recognize, yo, distancing. Now we don't need that actually, to be honest. Yeah, it's fun. We had a nice time with that, but at the moment, like we gotta hunker down. We gotta work on our priorities and like strengthen the home front a little bit. So you don't need an excuse when you're doing something that's healthy. You don't need an excuse. You can be just very, very upfront. Sometimes it takes a little bit of courage and fortitude to say that, but ultimately that speaks for itself. And it's not no reason to argue about it. If somebody wants to disagree with it, like let that speak for itself. And if somebody's going to take issue with that, like let that sit for a second and just let people feel that, like, wait, hold up, you want me to stay up later and I get further tired so that I have less energy the next day to do the work that provides me with a livelihood. That's what you're saying. That's what you're soliciting from me right now. And you want me to stay up and expend energy at this moment for the purpose of further intoxication, further kind of like video games or whatever else, bonding. Okay, well, how about if we bond at the next ritual when we have further energy? It's only a week away. It's only a few months away. How about that? So, anyways, distancing from the conditions, the warfare. Now, one thing about the what else do you want to say about the police? 1980s British pop police. What else are we going to say? Here's the thing. All right, putting things in perspective. So when we talk about the war and welfare, that too. How about that? Oh, so Freud. Somebody almost got me. That's the other thing. We're talking about like the rationale about my livelihood, monies, whatever else like that, where I get these joints from and otherwise. Here's another thing. Here's an easy way of here's a very easy way of explaining the difference of perspective and how we frame the conversation. What's my name? Who am I? Right there. If you ask the United States government is going to say a particular name. And if people watch Coming to America, people might say, hey, Mama call him Clay, I'm going to call him Clay. But guess what? That's not my name. I cast away that legacy of slavery. Oh, who is he to do this and da-da-da, and he's delusional? I mean, that's you. This is us. So right there, who am I? What's my name? Right there, that frames the conversation from that point, because now you are substantiating one type of perspective, religiosity, belief, or whatever else. And so because of that, anything else that's articulated from either side is going to be skewed or judged from that perspective and from that framework. So if we go on to talk about monies and diplomacies and citizenship and political asylum and everything else like that, if you're already working from that paradigm of slave name and this and the government story, then that's what you go with. Then you don't have to ask me anything, because whatever I say don't mean nothing to you. So there it is, and have fun with that. I don't want you to have fun with that because it's not healthy. So I mean, anything you can call me a liar or whatever else, but you just have a different belief. That's it. That's simple. A different definition and whatever else. So I'm not trying to. We are not trying to hide anything. We're not trying to pretend or be delusional. Can you say the same about your government and your side? Just saying. So that's another way of describing it. Plain and simple. What's my name? Who am I? It's not the D-O-double-G. So that's it. And then back to the war on health. So recognizing like the pervasive awareness, it's not any particular government, it's not any particular corporation or I guess in cartel or Illuminati, whatever else. It is a primordial phenomena, just like imperialism. It's a primordial phenomena. There's a war on health, and the people who are rise through those ranks of many of those institutions, government, cartel, whatever else, become like we could talk about like devil even, and talk about in that framework, and then those who amass like certain earthly powers become like the increasing henchmen or henchwomen in that don't want to just revert it to a binary of evil, this, that, and the other, but it is an affliction. So one way of describing it is just the beast. That's a further kind of non-antagonistic kind of framing of the circumstances. So, not even say devil, but just say the beast. The beast that challenges is the primordial beast that each of us is dealing with. Now, that being said, the point for sharing this right now is to recognize. This is very important. To recognize that the police are challenged and confronted with the exact same MFing beast that the streets are confronted with. The same one. When I talk about ask the police what's the worst experience of demons that the police have encountered, are you ready for that answer? What they've witnessed when the eyes shut off and they're still open. And something else is there. Something else is in control. Something else is moving the body and speaking the words. And it ain't the person who was born into that body initially. It's scary. And police, on every time clocking in, face the prospect of encountering that numerous occasions in that shift. Maybe it might be a number of weeks or so, but since the most recent one, ain't no telling when it may happen, how intense it may happen, how often it may happen, and if it may happen for the last and final occasion for any kinfolk. So, police, we're not even talking about gangsters, we're not even talking about guns and death. We're talking about the spirit world manifesting itself in the behaviors of people and certain beings on this earth, in this life, in this universe, being charged to deal with that directly. Police is one of them. Doctors is another. Lawyers, lightweight too. Priests, clergy, yes. So anyways, just to recognize that, the same beast that is at the police is the same beast that is at the streets, and which behooves the streets and the police to find some type of truce to be able to posse up in dealing with this beast. Because it's going to take that. It's going to take that. It's going to take that. Said 3 times. It's going to take much to get that. The facts. But are you ready for life? Are you ready to live? We got popping off now again. So, anyways, all right. We also got things to do, so let's recognize something else as I gotta check on these greens. Well, greens aren't gonna get burnt too tough, too perhaps, unless the water evaporates. Then that's it. Just shit. It's in a walk though. We in a walk anyway. What else we got going on? So the war on health. Just to recognize that and how it affects us on the daily. You're eating gourmet food from Whole Foods, and additionally, that's still processed and otherwise high expensive, and additionally, you might have a certain comfortable refuge or a comfortable bunker in the warfare on health, but still, it's not immunity. And the nature of the warfare on that particular type of health is increasingly mental, heart, and even still body. We have to look at sedentariness. We have to look at expectations. Often in those environments that can afford that type of food, even still, it's not the healthiest of food. It's still not organic. Whole Foods is selling produce that is not organic and not giving organic options. Brandon is getting further provocative now, stepping right in front of our window. So that's just the actuality. That even when it's Whole Foods, it's still not organic and it's still not healthy. So that's still the warfare on health. And even further, to afford those things, to be able to have the income and everything else like that, it requires doing a lot of dirt. Like I said before, just a few days ago, there are basically 4 options in society today to be normal, which is a quote-unquote middle class. And the middle class consists of diabolical scientists and gay men. That's the middle class. Now, to avoid that, it requires the extremes. And the extreme is either to be a mass murderer, and that's to be materially affluent, or to be poor and a slave. That's society. So to be able to afford that Whole Foods thing, and we eat Whole Foods. We appreciate Whole Foods, but we're just talking about this part of the warfare, to recognize it. To do that, to have that money to do that, is literally committing atrocities and warfare on others. Military, occupation, reaping of material resources, and additionally, all the institutions that employ the people, the bureaucracies, the clerics that are the paper pushers, and additionally, the corporate towers and skyscrapers that house all the different cubicles, that are all the pretenses of these processes. That's all just components of the warfare, of the war machine. And eventually there's bombs and this and the other on women and children. So that's how those expensive gourmet foods are procured. That's facts. And it's not me. It's not me saying it. It's facts. So, and that's warfare, again. And it's not just warfare on others. It's warfare against oneself. And that's warfare against the spirit. That's warfare against the mental. That's warfare against the heart. Even to eat comfortably with the food and body. And that warfare, the casualties of that warfare of the spirit, heart, and mind amongst the affluent is evidenced in the high rates of intoxication, suicide, stress, the divorce rates, and other mental afflictions. And additionally, all of those are casualties of the warfare. So it's just a matter of recognizing that. So to experience that health and well-being, it's comprehensive and it's thorough and it's simple. Recognizing what we need, basics, and recognizing that it's not even a right to eat it, to eat healthy. It is the nature. And when governments and when institutions, corporate companies, and additionally are obstructing that, then it's the necessity of organizing and defending ourselves against that warfare and be like, no, we're not going to fight for a right to eat healthy, to have healthy food, to be able to drink the water that runs naturally through our streams. It's not a right. The rights are conferred upon a government. So to talk about rights, you're already subjugating to a government and saying, please be recognize what you're supposed to do and do. No, it's like, get the fuck out the way. Move, beast. Get out the way. Get out the way. This is ludicrous. Blah, blah. That's what it is. And it's a matter of having that fortitude. And it's not a matter of conquering a company or conquering a nation. It's just like right here, you need to make some space for kinfolk, for life to live healthy. Otherwise, there's consequences and repercussions. And we ain't got to be the manifestors of those consequences and repercussions. But we're here to let you know. And you have an opportunity to show some proactiveness. You need to make some space for life to live healthy. Plain and simple. That's not a threat. That's not a promise. That's facts. You need to make a space for life to live healthy. Plain, 100%, no cap. Facts. You need to make a space for life to live healthy. Do I need to get louder? You need to make a space for life to live healthy. Facts. Plain and simple. That's it. If you are the government, if you're the banks, if you're religion, if you're the streets, if you're the gangsters, if you're the revolutionaries, if you're the bullshit artists, the hustlers, the ordinary person, the ordinary citizen, the activist, you need to make space for life to live healthy. Plain and simple. That's it. So we can keep on talking, we can keep on BSing, we can keep on rambling and whatever else. Don't know what Brethren is doing at this moment. Just talking back and forth in front of our window. It's not helping the situation too tough, and it's actually rather provocative because it's right in front of us, and it's very intentional, and it's amidst everything else that's going on with the smashed tent, the police from the other day, and additionally, and so to be pacing back and forth in front of our window, talking loud in our window, like, yo, what do you want? And I can yell back at everybody now. It's not being too belligerent or whatever, but it's still just it's very blatant, and it's very unnecessary because there are other places to talk. And all of the spot is hot, and kinfolk know that, and kinfolk pretend that they don't. And so we're not trying to deal with all these pretenses and facades and everything. And I can yell at the window every time kinfolk do this, but this is a regular occurrence. It's not this blatant as it is at the moment usually, and it's not as persistent. And this is a brethren who lives here, so nearby. So there's a certain feigned legitimacy or rationale, but at the same time, the block is hot beyond all of that, and kinfolk know that. So again, to be just walking back and forth, again, I can say something, I can yell, but yeah, we got other things to do. Finishing this thought, trying to think if there's anything else to share at the moment, and if it's worth like another encounter, another engagement. As I said before, life isn't a matter about picking our battles. Life is a matter about picking and choosing our victories. Battles are a one-time thing, and we can like tally up, okay, what the sides are, what's our mission and whatever else, and like see if we can get that out. That's fine. That's battleship. But victories is like, okay, we're investing ourselves. This is a relationship. From this encounter, what is the purpose of this? What do we intend? How do we intend to commit ourselves for the rest of life into this encounter? And so obviously, like, it's to just think about the lifetime commitment of every encounter that we experience. We have to be very judicious and very prudent in how we invest ourselves, particularly how we initiate or how we proactively enter into certain types of interactions with that mindset of lifetime commitment. Again, coming from the native tradition, 7 generations, everything we do, how does this affect the next 7 generations of our progeny and otherwise. And so it's not just a matter of conquering kinfolk and then moving on. It's a matter of, okay, we're engaged in this interaction. How is this going to affect the next 7 generations of our progeny? Is this brethren who has discipline and has some wisdom and some proclivity for ongoing cooperation? Because it's not just a matter of us quieting things down or getting whatever is perceived as our way. It's a matter of discerning, okay, what's the situation on both sides and what's the propensity for long-term cooperation? And if there seems to be a scant amount of propensity for long-term cooperation, then there's less incentive for initiating interaction. Now, if the circumstances become increasingly confrontational and belligerent, then there are different questions to be answered in terms of, oh, this is something that is further challenging the well-being within our sanctuary and otherwise, and then we may have further motivation for responding and additionally. But for the most part, in these conditions of today, there's a lot of passive-aggressive, indirect provocations from a lot of different sides, from a lot of the different usual suspects. And so in that kind of ambiguity, it becomes there are a lot of further factors to consider in terms of discerning how to respond. And by and large, it's comparatively irrelevant, it's comparatively non-priority and insignificant, and further detracting from the priorities that we already have commitments to and further. So again, like cats can light fires here and there, and if we spend time just like putting out all those fires, like we get deterred from what our path is initially. If the fire becomes big enough, and particularly if it's obstructing the path, then we deal with that fire appropriately or accordingly, or make adjustments accordingly. But in the city life, when there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of kinfolk living in immediate vicinity with each other, there's high propensity and even just a high tendency of fires getting started, just little sparks here and there. And the mindset can be one of ego and pride, and I ain't gonna, that's disrespect, and we get caught up in like trying to put out all those little sparks or whatever else. And kinfolk say again, got to pick your battles or whatever else, and recognize, okay, one, don't have to be out and about amidst all the conditions of causing sparks. That's one thing. But then when the sparks are being lit right in front of us, where we stay when we're not going out, then it's like, okay, then we have to make decisions accordingly. So that's where things are, because the conditions were in this hood in the past few years are changed significantly, where it's kinfolk who are fire starters, and often not even necessarily independent fire starters, but hired fire starters. So we have to be mindful of that and respond accordingly. Now, the brethren has progressed elsewhere. Don't know if he's just going to another spot, but it's quite in the window front at the moment. So, anyways, that's some of the rationale. That's some of the conditions. This is the everyday. And again, we have to pick and choose our victories, how we invest ourselves, and proceed accordingly. And the older we get, the further we are invested. How about that? That's nature. And thus, the less we have available to further invest ourselves in new ways. Oh, and I'm talking about getting married, am I? But again, that's facts. And it's not shade, it's not hate. It's just recognizing that. So, it helps not to be human, and to let go of a lot of the things that humans hold on to. And along those lines, what I will share is that there are many beings in this life. There are many beings. We can talk about that actually, and we can wrap it up. And for better or for worse, there's just facts. There are many beings who learn how to live in this life. Either learn how to live or already know, are born, are created living in a way that doesn't require a lot of things that human beings require. Doesn't require food. Doesn't even necessarily require water. People learn, beings learn this. You can cultivate this. You can find this out for yourself, like to live, what it's like to live without eating food. Where do you get your energy from? You start to be further mindful of the cycle of the sun, the sunshine, the light, You become further mindful of the energy that's emitted and shared from people. We can talk about anger as an energy. We can talk about sex as an energy, the cipher of sex as energy. We can talk about youth and children and babies as energy, and that gets into things like cannibalism. It gets into things like pedophilia and otherwise. But there's all different, I mean, energy is all around. And so there are all different ways of feeding off energy. And there are beings that cultivate this. I mean, we can talk about like the fantastic stories, the mythological stories of Dracula and vampires or whatever else. But there's an element of truth to that. We can talk about witches. There's a display. I'm not gonna. I have a duty in that, so I'm not gonna talk about that at the moment. So, but they're like these little stories that just seem like just so out there. Nah, there's no way. It's based on actual experience, and it might be somewhat nuanced or hyperbolized, exaggerated. Yet, and actually, oftentimes, it's actually not exaggerated. It's just like described in a different way, and the actuality is way further nasty. So, point is that there are beings that walk the roads of creation, that fly the roads of creation, that float along the roads of creation, that submerge beneath the roads of creation. There are beings in this universe, in this life, visible and non-visible, humanoid and non-humanoid, angelic and non-angelic, that exist in this life and that feed off energy. There's countless types of beings, and the ancients teach us about this. The ancients teach us a relationship about this, from the Yaka fiends to the Nephilim and otherwise, even to the sparrows that are perched up here. What's happening? What's happening? Yeah, it's still bread. We got bread. What's going on? What you want? That's all right. Bread for days. All right. As we talk about these things, hallelujah. Give thanks and praise to the Most High. Udi, Udi, the one being, creating all being. Energy. So there are beings that feed from the energy in ways that humanoids do not do and do not know, do not want to see. And in doing that, have like superpowers because they don't have to do certain things, don't have to sleep, don't have to get energy from sleep. Now at the same time, there's always that yin and yang. So amidst those superpowers and capabilities, super minds penetrate, manipulate, subjugate, and all that stuff. Yeah, let me take out these greens. Been here for an hour, and the heat's on high. I know, man. Like, you guys so scary, sparrows. Like you ain't never seen me before. It's not Wilt Chamberlain, but those are wilted greens. How about that? AC Green, Wilt Chamberlain and AC Green. Anyway, all right. The magic show, Showtime. Fantastic. In our own hood. All right, that's enough references. So, yeah, he has been on a walk. So if you cook with a wok, you already know you don't need to put the heat on high. You put the heat on low, and it distributes. Serious woks do. Amazing, simple culinary ingenuity. The wok is. So when you put the heat on high, what do you expect to cook? Because it's gonna be gone quick. Oil evaporation quick like. Water evaporation quick like. You put the lid on, what you doing? That's what we was doing. Put the lid on, have the greens cooking on high. Greens cooking, no, I'm not going to joke about that. But the greens are cooking with a high heat for the past hour. This whole time, that's a very low-key reference. Peace and blessings to Brethren Fusi. As well as Ryan Higa. Wow, that's a long time ago, to be honest. YouTube references. Anyways, so anyways, they're beings. They're beings in this life, and with the superpowers of mental, not being, not having to sleep and do all these other things, knowing like strength, knowing how to like blur somebody else's concentration. So even when they're huge, you can just go like, boop, and they fall down. Like there are all the different types of things that provide all different types of capabilities. But the thing is, again, there's that yin and that yang. And so for every way that a being has a superpower, there's also super vulnerability. And it's a matter of understanding the nature of each. First of all, it's a matter of just not being comparatively indifferent to the nature of each, and just focusing on your own nature and your own well-being, your own purpose in this life, our own purpose in this life, and then in doing that fastidiously, through that honesty, you become increasingly aware. We become increasingly aware of other life in this universe, purpose, nature, and further. So it's not a matter of conquest. Sometimes it's a matter of protection, self-defense, but ultimately everything is a manifestation of what we project. And it is that joint projection rooted within our respective creation from Creator. Feel that rootedness, that foundation in the base as well as on the tippies, in our sitting, in our standing, in our walking. That foundation of our existence before us. That's one of the, it's actually an amazing title to a film, but at the same time it's like still and what am I saying when I say still? It's like it's still like pop culture, I guess is what I'm saying. It's like, but the title is, it's a romance story. It was like the first feature film from Wong Fu Productions. All these YouTube references, and the title of it is Everything Before Us. I mean, that's a very creative and beautiful title and concept. But I mean, and it's the concept that's even further like, yo, that's spiritual. Everything before us. Because it is intrinsically timeless. It is dualistically time-full. Everything before us, everything in front of us, that's approaching us as we continue to walk in this path. But then everything before us, everything that came before us. Now it's in the context of the young sister and brethren meeting and everything else like that. But just like everything before us. And with that being said, we're going to give all thanks and praise to the Most High, Elohim, blessed love and peace, and Rastafari.